Shalom. In our Parashat Lech, we have an interesting relationship developing between Avraham, or Avram in this case, and his nephew Lot. Now, you could argue that Lot has a lot to thank Avraham for. All of the wealth that Lot has, that he gained from Egypt, is all thanks to his more successful uncle, Avram. And yet, when strife emerges between Avraham and Lot, mostly based on economic strife between Avraham's shepherds and Lot's shepherds, Avraham turns to Lot and says, we need to find a solution. This cannot continue. This family machlokas, this brogas, will tear us both apart. And indeed, Avraham turns to him and he says, Vayomer Avram el Lot, al na tehi meriva bini ubenecha. Let there not be a fight between me and you. Uben ro'ai uben ro'echa, between my men and your men. Ki anashim achim anachnu. Because we are brothers. We are brothers. Anashim achim. We have familial, brotherly connection. We are family. And yet, the solution that is put on the table by Avram is indeed, Halo kol haaretz lefanecha. We have plenty of land. Hi pared na me'alai. Let us go our separate ways. And Avram even goes so far as saying, Masmol va'yamina, if you turn left, I'll turn right. V'im yamin v'asmail, and if you turn right, I'll turn left. We will go our own separate ways. The way to keep the peace between Avraham and Lot is through separation. Now, you might think that seems to be the exact opposite of the term Anashim Achim Anachnu. If we are brothers, if we are siblings, why would we go our own separate ways? So, as we know, the phrase says, absence makes the heart grow fonder, and sometimes in order to keep the peace, each one must find their own path and give each other the space that they need. Don't forget, this connection is not finished. When later Avram will hear that Sodom is to be destroyed, he will daven to save Sodom, to save Lot with Sodom. We will also see him go to bat, to go to fight for Lot, to save him from captivity. Time and time again, we will see that Avram remembers that he is family with Lot. Unfortunately, Lot and his descendants, Moab and Ammon, do not repay that favor, and that is why we must keep that separation deep and not allow them to rejoin the Jewish family. We are not allowed to marry anyone from Ammon or Moab, at least not the men who continue in this tradition. And yet we see there still is this, you could argue, familial theme that is running in the background. But there is one other time in the Tanakh where we find the phrase Anashim, where we find the phrase Achim Anachnu. We are brothers. And that is beautifully in the story of Yosef. In the story of Yosef, when the brothers go down to Egypt, ostensibly to bring food back to the family, but the Midrash says that they might have had a hope of maybe potentially finding Yosef, who was sold into slavery, potentially. They didn't know, maybe. And we see that the brothers are a united front, even when facing the terrible viceroy of Egypt, Yosef, who accuses them of being spies. And we will see in the stories of Bereshit, he abuses them and throws them in jail and tries to trick them and cause them trouble and make ridiculous demands that they go back and bring brothers and all sorts of weird and wacky things. When faced with all of this, the brothers turn to Yosef and say, Vayomru shneim asar avadecha achim anachnu. The 12 of us, we are brothers. Bnei ish echad be'eretz Knaan. We are all the sons of one man. There is one who is still with our father. There's another one who is not with us, Yosef, and yet he's kind of still in the parsha. They are united front, even after everything that's happened. Even after the battles between Bnei Rachel and Bnei Leah, even after all of the familial strife, which you could argue with the sons of Yaakov really gets to the highest of highs. Nonetheless, they choose Anashim Achim anachnu. Achim anachnu. We are brothers. Instead of the solution of hiparedna me'alai, we need to separate in order to keep the familial ties alive and visit every now and then and come to each other's aid in extreme circumstances. The brothers decide that they are going to stick together despite everything. And even after Yehuda and Binyamin and all of the different strife that happens to them, they choose to come together and to face all of the challenges together. And I feel like these two models of Achim and Achnu, we're brothers, are very important models for the Jewish people for all time. There is always I would say, the temptation to go down the route of Avraham and Lot. There is familial bond, but it's not really that strong. As the Mishlei says, Tov shachen karov me'ach rachok. Sometimes we have friends that are closer than our actual blood relatives. And unfortunately, that is sometimes the case. And sometimes that might be the solution. But as a people, we are not going through the same choices that Avram and Lot made. We will not choose that path. I think the beautiful thing about the Jewish people is that when the term Achim and Achnu comes back again, and by the way, that happens again in the same parasha, they repeat Achim and Achnu. They choose a path very different from that of Avram and Lot. They say, no, we're not going down that route. We are not going to separate, just like Ishmael and Yitzchak needed to separate, Avraham and Lot needed to separate, Yaakov and Esav needed to separate. No, we are sticking together. Bnei Ish Echad. We are one. And indeed, Chazal connect this with Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. The Jewish people and the sons, the 12 tribes said to Yaakov on his deathbed, we are all one family, believing in one God, one united people, Mlechet Kohanim V'Koy Kadosh, a holy nation, Ke'ish Echad, Belev Echad. That is the Jewish people. And beautifully, today, when we come to all of the questions of Achim Anachnu, are we brothers? Are we Achim Laneshek? Are we brothers in arms? What about all those who are not brothers in arms? Are we brothers in the Torah? Are we brothers in the future of the Jewish people? All of these questions, which always raise the specter of hiparedna me'alai. Maybe we'll go our separate ways. Maybe we'll go to Chutz La'aretz and leave you here. Maybe we'll keep you out of the government or not allow you to, stay within the fold. All of these different questions. Do you count for a minyan? Do you not count for a minyan? All of these questions, I think, are questions that are, to a certain degree, again, coming back to the echoes of this question. Achim anachnu. We are brothers. What do we do next? Do we choose Avraham and Lot? And we saw that ends, unfortunately, quite badly. Lot ends up being lost to the Jewish people. Ammon and Moab are cast out forever. Or do we choose the pathway of Yosef and his brothers, specifically the sons of Yaakov, of saying, no, we're not going to go anywhere. We will stay together. We will fight it out. We will have the most terrible family disputes. But in the end, we are Bnei Ish Echad Anachnu. We are one unified family. B'ezrat Hashem, we hope in each generation that when we come to the question of Achim Anachnu, Et Achai Anochi Mevakesh, are we going to make the right choice? I really pray and daven that B'ezrat Hashem, we follow in the footsteps of our forefathers, of the Jewish leaders of old and the Jewish leaders of now. May we all continue to choose Et Achai Anochi Mevakesh, Achim Anachnu, B'yachad. Shabbat Shalom.